Hello, and welcome to Life of a Boss, the podcast, hosted by entrepreneur, public speaker, and mentor, Jason Hardin. This podcast is all about helping audiences create and reach their own definition of success through positive thinking, perseverance, and personal development. Having survived extreme obstacles from an early age, such as cancer, poverty, abuse, family dysfunction, and even homelessness, Jason has learned how to master the art of resilience and defy all odds to become the boss he is today. So, get ready for some serious game and remember to keep an open mind. Now, without further delay, here is your host, Jason Hardin.
Thank you so much, and I am very happy and grateful to be here today. We have an incredible show, and that's because our guest today is an incredible person, man. She's been pretty much awarded recognitions from the mayor, the senator, Congresswoman Chu, Assembly member Chris Hardin. She's just done so many incredible things. She's accomplished so much, and she's just a wealth of information today, and it's going to be so hard to squeeze this interview in only 10 to 12 minutes, but I'll bet you one thing, it's going to be the most value-packed 10 to 12 minutes you're going to hear today. So without further ado, here is the creator of Women's Wealth Warriors and the co-founder of Shepherd's Door, as well as the creator of Prestige Insurance and Financial Services, Miss Tunisia Offray. Hello, Miss Tunisia.
Hey. Hi, Jason. How are you?
I am honored. That's how I am today. I am honored to have you on the show, for real.
I am honored that you asked me to be on the show.
Oh, well, then that just all works out then. And for those that don't know, I asked Tunisia because she is a boss. And not just because she's a boss, but she literally created and carved out and is now living her own definition of success. In my eyes, she might not be done to her. She might not be but halfway towards what she's trying to do. But in my eyes, from the outside looking in, this woman's a straight boss. She's an inspiration. And that's why she's on the show today, because she has a wealth of information to give to y'all to help people. And I just want to tap into some of it. Is that okay with you, Tunisia?
Yes, that's great. Let's get to it. I have so much to share. Whatever you want to know, I'm open book.
Ooh, okay. Then this is now changed to an hour-long episode. It's gonna be a special now. Now it's gonna be an Oprah Barbara Walters special. We're gonna get. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. First of all, with Shepherd's Door, people that don't know that Shepherd's Door is a domestic violence organization that helps people who suffer domestic violence and connects them with services and counseling and things like that. And I know about it because I've been there myself, literally. So I've seen the great things this woman has done and her family has put together for a lot of people. I've seen their classes, I've seen their organization, I've seen how they work, and like I said, they were open to me when I needed the help myself, and that's a whole other story. But I want to tap into relationships because a huge part of living and creating your own definition of success is relationships, and more important, the relationships you have with yourself. And I think not a lot of people understand the connection between the relationships we have with ourselves and the relationship we have with others. Would you like to speak on that? First of all, just relationships in general and like how they relate to everything else we do.
100%. So, and that's great that we're starting with this topic. So Shepherd's Door was created really by my mother, but it was as a response to what I directly experienced. My first relationship was a teen dating relationship. And because of that, I was at the age of 16. So that's when I was first introduced to domestic violence. It's nothing that I experienced in my home. My parents have been married 45 years now. I never even heard my dad raise his voice or my mother or them argue or anything like that.
Wow.
However, in having my first experience so young, it kind of set the tone for the abusive relationships to follow throughout the trajectory of my life. My mother became so angry that I was going through this, right? And then she started noticing that other people in the community was having this experience. So she just started doing something about it. And then it morphed into Shepherd's Door. I came on a little bit later because I had to get rid of the embarrassment, the stigma, right?
The feelings.
Yeah, so exactly. So I hid behind it for a while. And so finally I decided that I'm going to walk in my truth and that I am no longer a victim, but I am a survivor. And I wanted to use my story to reach other people to let them know that you don't have to become a victim of your circumstances and that there is redemption and we can always do things over again and do them the right way. And growing and healing is always evolving. So I teach healthy versus unhealthy relationship classes. I teach them in the middle and high school. And then also we at Shepherd's Door do 52-week batterless classes where perpetrators who were sentenced to jail due to abuse, domestic abuse, part of their probation is to do these 52 weeks, which is a year, rehabilitation classes. And we have a 98% success rate,
That's
meaning
wonderful.
the people that come through our program do not return back to jail. I teach the women. And we have other facilitators that teach the men. My mom and I both teach the women. And what we have done was we have kind of carved out, we kind of created our own curriculum, so to speak. We don't really approach it from we're punishing you or a lecturing standpoint, but we really focus on healing, right? Because like you said, the first relationship you have is going to be the relationship you have with yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's going to be the foundation that's going to create relationships on every sector of your life, whether it's personal, whether it's business, whether it's friendships, whether it's family dynamics. So we get to the root of the problem, because the abuse part is just a symptom of the illness, right? But what is the cause of the illness? And that's kind of how we approach it with our victims and also our perpetrators, because it's not so much that you were in these relationships. Well, why? Why did you stay? Why did you think it was okay to be with someone who treated you that way? Because the why is the reason that you're in the position that you're in, whether you're a victim or a perpetrator. So we really focus on what a healthy relationship is. What does that look like? And we start with the relationships you have with yourself first. How do you feel about yourself? What do you think about yourself? How do you value yourself?
Is that why?
Those are so important.
Is that? Do you think that why is that related to trauma? And would you like to touch on that?
Yes, I do believe in what I have found in my own personal experiences, and then experiences with just about everybody who I have had the opportunity with, facilitating with. It is all directly trauma related. Most people who find themselves in these unhealthy relationships either mirrored it from somewhere else, and or it's a lack of self-worth, right? You feeling like you don't deserve anything more. Not valuing yourself enough. And those things usually come from somewhere else, right? So we don't just wake up. I don't think anyone in their right mind raised their hand and say, oh, I want to beat up a person today. Like, that's
Yeah.
something else. You know what I mean?
So from your perspective, being a victim of domestic violence as well as being the aggressor or the perpetrator of domestic violence both show traits of trauma.
100%.
Previous trauma that isn't attached to that relationship, that may have occurred way before they even met that person.
100%. So we attract what we are, right?
Yeah.
So if you're broken and I'm broken, we're going to have two broken people we're like magnets that are going to come together, and then they're going to have a broken relationship. So in order to have a successful, healthy relationship, you have to be healthy, right? Mind, body, and spirit. So if you're not healthy, you're not going to attract a healthy partner. So that's how the cycles keep going around and around. We can leave that partner and go into a relationship with someone just like them. They just look different, may sound different, but the relationship will mirror itself. You have to break the cycle by healing you first.
In regards to that, how do you help people identify their trauma so they can even connect to it? Because
I mostly...
Go ahead. I was about to say that since a lot of this is unresolved trauma, because like a lot of people go through trauma, but in a healthy way, you can process it, identify it, and resolve it, but it seems the unresolved trauma, it creates these symptoms. It's the unresolved trauma that the stuff that we didn't totally work through, identify, get past, or whatever reason, and that seems to create the issue. So how do you help people identify? Because it can be easy for yourself, especially you in your shoes, and you're the counselor and you have all your experience, but for those who walk through your door, who they've never even sat down, or they've never even come to terms with anything they've been through, or they never spoken openly about anything they've been through. How do you reach that person and get that person to connect to whatever their root of their issue is? How does that happen?
Well, first, like I said, why, right? I love to start with why. In my classes, I always start with why. And I use myself as an example because it helps people to break down their guard, right? When they feel like you're not someone who's just preaching so much, but you've been there.
Yeah.
And for myself, in order for me to figure out why I kept going into relationships over and over and over again, and the same result kept happening, I started asking myself why. And the more whys I asked, like, first of all, like, my first question was, Tunisia, why did you stay? And my answer to that was because I was afraid that nobody else will want me. I was afraid that I would be judged by being a single parent again. I was, embarrassed, like so many different. So those are my whys. I wrote them down.
It seemed like you went down a list that a lot of people might think only applies to them. So I appreciate that because I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to your whys, thinking it's just them. So thank you. Keep going. I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah. And the why just goes on. Like, then why do you feel that way? And so I just kept asking myself why, all the way till I got to the end. And when I got to the end, I looked at my paper of all my whys. That told me the things that I needed to work on with myself. And with every why, you have to unfold why you ended up feeling that way, right? So something happened that made me feel unworthy. Something that happened that made me feel not good enough. Something happened that made me feel all these things that I felt. So I started going to those things. And you just start peeling back the layers. A lot of times people don't deal with their trauma because they don't know what to do with the emotions of it, right? So we hide from it. We find nothing with drugs, alcohol, sex, relationships. It's just all Band-Aids to cover what the real trauma is.
Wow.
But the thing about that is you're never healing the wound. So you have to heal the wound in order to heal the trauma. And a lot of people don't know what to do with those emotions, so we run from it. It's hard. And I tell people healing is a journey. It doesn't stop. You don't wake up one morning, you're like, whoop, I'm healed. That's not how it happens. You know what I mean? It's an everyday deliberate, conscious effort to be aware of how you feel, be aware of how something's making you feel, to be aware of your triggers. That's a lot of things people don't know about triggers. Things trigger you, right? And you have to be aware of how you feel to realize that it's a trigger. If someone says something or does something, like for me, I know my triggers are I don't like people who are forceful with me, right? It takes me back to my abusers. Like it could be even in a business, it could even be over the phone with a customer service representative. Like if someone
any type of aggression turns you off.
Yeah, like it makes me feel a certain kind of way, but I'm aware of that. So when I have those experiences, right, I don't immediately go to respond because I realize, okay, Tunisia, you're being triggered. And then it gives me an opportunity to address how I'm feeling in a different way.
I love what you just said right there because I don't think people understand the power they have. And sometimes you have to use that power, and you have to use it within that microsecond or within them 3 seconds before you react. But everybody has that power to just stop, slow it down a second, even if it's a microsecond. Slow it down and be like, "Hey, I'm tripping."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or hey, let me look and see who's tripping. It might be me. It might really be that next person. But let me not have my next action be a response. Let my next action be thinking. And that's just so important. And I think that goes over a lot of people's heads because they use that as an excuse. And I tell people every day that I was mad is not a defense in court. You know what I'm saying? I was mad. He made me mad. That might have worked in elementary, and it really didn't work then. But yeah, he made me mad is not a defense in court. So you're gonna have to check those emotions and then rethink them like you did. And I appreciate that so much. With that being said, I want to shift. And there's something you said that's going to make this a great segue because I want to shift into your own personal journey to your definition of success. And one thing that you said that really stood out because I think I wrote a chapter about it in my book is owning your challenges, how one day you owned your challenge. You was no longer a victim. You were a survivor. And what was that thing that made that snap, that aha moment? What was that thing that said, hold on? You know, because like you said, it might have been a transition over time, might have been something, whatever it was. What was it that made you decide to like own what happened to you, own the decisions you made that led you there, own everything that came with that, so you can use it to empower you? Because that's what happens when you own something; it becomes yours. You know,
Yep.
And just like anything that's yours, you can sell it, you can give it away, you can share it with people. So that's power. So you took that power at some point. What was that transition, or do you remember that moment?
You know what? I would love to say it was a magical one moment, but it was a combination of moments, right? It was, you know, and I always laugh. I say, life has a funny way of pushing you to your destiny if you allow it to. If I didn't all at once have it all figured out, but every step that I took led me to my purpose. I will go back so what led me to be an entrepreneur was the fact that, I was a single mom of 3 kids. I was a single mom of 3 kids. I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't hold a job. Couldn't hold one. Got 3 kids, no help. You know, each one of their fathers were abusive, was nowhere around. So I was left to take care of these kids on my own. And getting sick and tired of someone determining my worth, how much they're going to pay me, whether or not they're going to keep me or not. I just got tired of not feeling secure. So I said, God, there has to be a better way. And I lost everything. After the last time I got fired, I lost everything. House, car, boyfriend, everybody left. There was nothing left. I had to move home with my parents for the first time as a 30-something-year-old woman with 3 kids. And I was so depressed. And I had to figure out, what are you doing, Tunisia? What does this look like for you? And I remember something telling me to focus on what made me happy. And in that moment, I felt like everything that made me happy was gone, My car was gone. I didn't have no money. I couldn't get my nails done. And you know how I am.
Yeah.
I like my nails and hair done. I like where everything that made me happy was gone. So then I started searching for my happiness. Yeah. And what I started to realize was we had nothing, but the things that we were happy with when I was with my kids, when I was actually able to make breakfast in the morning instead of rushing to drop them off at school and didn't have time to feed them because I had to get to work. When I was able to see them do the Pledge of Allegiance at school that I would have missed because I was at work. There were moments that I realized that I was there for my kids and they were so happy I was there, and even when we had nothing. So that made me realize what made me happy was being a mother to my kids. And so then I have to figure out, how can I make this my life as a single mama, no money in the bank, you ain't got no car, you don't have nothing. How can I make this my life? How can I make my kids my priority? And at that moment, now everybody wants to be a boss. But back, some years ago, because I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, nobody was talking about being no boss, especially not no black girl.
Yeah.
We wasn't no bosses. That's just the truth. So the question was, how was I going to be able to have my own business? So I thought about what I was good at. And at that moment, I was a bookkeeper in Hollywood, for a prestigious business management firm. I did the books for actors and producers and stuff like that. So I was really, really good.
Wow.
So I said, well, I can do this for small business owners, Because we don't have time to deal with this stuff.
Yeah. And
it was just a setup from the universe. I happened to take a temp job at the Pasadena Civic Center. Didn't know where I was going. The lady at the time was setting up for a conference. And I didn't know what this conference was going to be, no clue. And she says, Tunisia, I know you're here with me today, but what do you really want to do? And at this moment, I never told anyone that I wanted to start a business. Because I thought it sounded crazy, I didn't have a plan. I didn't have no money. Yeah. I didn't have a website. I had nothing, Jason. Yeah. Okay? Not even a car. Yeah. So I was so something said to tell her. And I was like, oh, I can't tell her that. I can't tell this lady this. And so I told her. And I believe when I spoke it in the universe, I promise you everything conspired for it to happen. Little did I know that conference was a conference for small business owners. And that woman stood up, introduced me at the back table, and says, I have Tunisia Offray with me today, and she is a bookkeeper, and she works with small businesses.
Wow.
If you need a bookkeeper, go to the back table and give her your information. I had people writing their numbers on a piece of paper. That's all I had. And that started my business. Within 6 months, I was back in my own place, fully furnished with a car, and I never worked for anyone ever again. That's when I realized my own power. That was my turning moment. That's when I stepped into the quote unquote boss woman that people see, because I realized that I had the power to change and make my life be whatever it wants.
Man, isn't that a great power?
Woo, it's very enlightening.
And
it's very enlightening.
That is an incredible story, and because it touched on so many people's journeys that had nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's easy when you got something. It's easy when mommy and daddy can put the house up. You know what I'm saying? Yep. It's easy when somebody passes and leave you that $100,000, that $20,000, that $50,000. It's a little easier, and even then it's challenging. So I'm not taking anything away from anybody that built anything from whatever they started, whether it be something or nothing. But there's something that's more special from those stories that started and ended and recreated itself to be what you are today. Those stories are it, because just like me, there's times that we thought we were successful and we were just deep into the BS. We didn't see it, but we over there is successful in the wrong way, building with the wrong person, doing everything in the negative numbers. We getting deeper into the negative numbers, and to always come back, we gotta. Just basic math. To come back from negative to a positive, you're gonna have to hit zero again. You're always going to have to cross zero again. So people, do not be afraid to have nothing.
Preach it.
Do not be afraid to start over, because Tunisia did it. I know I done it. I know a lot of people that have done it. And I'm going to tell you one thing. When you do it that way, you appreciate things a lot more than those who didn't do it that way. Just like you say, you're happy with the nothings, and now you got something. Now those breakfasts you cook are good breakfasts. You know what I'm saying? Now the stove and the lights on when you're eating and stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's just like we do the same things when you joy, when you have nothing, and when you have something, you just do them in a different way, and you do them in different places. But that's one thing I also want to tap on, is that you didn't look outward for your change or your power. You looked inward. You look inward. What makes me happy, damn it? Not what should I be doing? What society doing? Who's making the most money? What field is paying? No, you look inward. You know what I'm saying? And you took it back to where your joy and your happiness was with nothing. Because I tell folks, man, when you get it, you're still gonna go back to what makes you happy. You know what I'm saying? And after you're done, the only thing that separates like those with money and those don't is actually spending the money. But what they do with their time is something we all can do. So if millionaires read, if they think and they explore and they make themselves healthy and they do all these other things, outside of spending money, that's what you need to do to be a millionaire. So I just appreciate everything you brought to the table, because to me, you are a confirmation. You know what I'm saying? Because I know we look at our stories as original, and some things like you said, there's no book for this. There's no manual on how to get it like that. There's a lot of books out there, but they're not, they're all catered to that person. So when you reach when you connect with folks who really got it that way and really understand the struggle and has made it, it allows me to appreciate it even more. When I see other people have it, because it means it's true. It means that anybody can do it. It means that, like Della Reese said at an event, she said, you change your mind, you change your life.
Amen. That's very true.
And it's just that simple, because just like you said, though I had a lot of transition, when you look back, it feels like it was just a moment overnight. It feels like I don't know how I was ever thinking the way I was. I don't know how I was ever broke. You know what I'm saying? Hey, everybody else is a fool. I don't know how they broke. So you start thinking that, and I get it all the time. But that's why I do shows like this, and that's why I like seeing you doing interviews and speaking to people, because that we live now, we got to remember that somebody still can get here. Somebody that thought like we used to think can still make it to where we are today, or even better, or their definition of it. So I appreciate you, Tunisia, and I'm glad and thankful for everything you've done for me personally, for being on the show, but also for what you do for a bunch of women and a bunch of brothers out there.
Thank you. And I tell people, because I mentor other entrepreneurs, and I tell people, like, when they say, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur, they look at you like, what did you do? And I ask them, well, what makes you happy? No, and I suck people every time, because they're like, what does it have to do with me making money? And what I say is, what I've learned in this journey of being an entrepreneur is that when you follow your happy, one, you're going to go hard at it, because that's what you need in order to be successful. Yeah. It's not going to feel like work to you, because you love it, right? And even when you fail at it, you're going to still love it, because what? You love it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like a baby. Like, you have to love it in order to make it work, because it's not easy. And so I tell people, first identify where's your passion, where's your happiness, and then follow that. That's going to lead you to ultimately where you're supposed to be, and your success that you're looking for is not what's going to make me the most money. You know what I mean? Money will follow. That will come because you'll be great at what you do. So the money will come.
I love it. And you know what? We're going to end it. I was going to let you get your last words in, but that was perfect. You know, and I want people to remember that. I want that to resonate in the minds of audience today. And thank you, Tunisia, for being here. I appreciate every word you said and every piece of game. And we will end this interview on that. So thank you, Tunisia.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I really appreciate you. I'm very honored to be on this platform, and you're doing an awesome job. So
I appreciate that. It's honored to be honored by you. I swear.
Okay. That's how we do it.
Man, we'll recognize real, and I know you, girl. Shoot.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Anyway, y'all, like I said, that was Tunisia Offray, man. You can connect with her in our show notes. We have all the information. Hit her up on Instagram. All her social media is the same. It's at Tunisia Offray on all platforms, so check her out. She has a lot of good things going. She got, like I said, if you need help with any type of counseling, domestic violence, man or woman, whatever it is, if you need to talk to somebody, that's what her organization provides. And like I said, man, she is an incredible person. And yeah, and once again, man, we do have this book that I'm still trying to give away. It is The Relationship Dismount, and it is how to stick the landing when exiting a toxic relationship. And I felt it was good to bring this book up since we're still talking about relationships. It's autographed and written by Zoe Williams, and you guys can leave a review. Best review gets the book. I'll send it to you. But anyway, I love y'all, man. Thank you guys for being here. And remember, success is a lifestyle. Peace.
Did anything stand out to you in today's show? If so, let us know. Your questions, comments, and concerns are important to Jason, as he is determined to always deliver to you only the most impactful information and content. Until next time, please subscribe, like, comment, share, and leave a review whenever possible. You may visit lifeofaboss.net for more episodes and great resources to help you become the absolute boss that you were meant to be. You can also follow Jason on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Hardin. Thank you. And never forget that success is a lifestyle.